You know what you got to do when you come out of a bad series? You got to turn the page. You got to turn the page, and that's where we're going to turn the page to the Guardians, who are in town Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 3 games, four games in 3 days. I'm sorry about that. With a doubleheader, a split doubleheader on Monday night, where we will see the debut of Garrett Hill, who was drafted in the 26th round by the Tigers in 2018. Throws a low 90s fastball with a mix of off-speed and breaking stuff. Had a really high strikeout rate, about 10 or 11 per 9 in AAA in the 8 starts that he made, but he did also walk 4 batters per 9. He had a 4.06 ERA in AAA in 8 starts with a 3.87 FIP. He will be facing off against Zach Plesac, who's 2-5. He gets about 6.5 strikeouts per 9. Walks about 2 batters per 9, has a 273 batting average on balls in play, so definitely need to put the ball in play against him, with a 3.86 ERA, which shows that he's been getting a little bit lucky with balls being turned into outs, because his actual fielding independent pitching is 443. His FIP is 443. The game 2 of the doubleheader, Monday night at 6:40. The Guardians are probably going to be pitching, either going with a bullpen day, or they're going to be calling up somebody for a spot start. It was to be determined on any site that I looked at, and they'll be facing off against the Tigers' 27th man, recently optioned Alex Faedo, who is 1-4. He has been striking out about 7 batters per 9 innings, but walking about 3 batters per 9 innings. And his FIP and ERA are relatively close, an ERA of 4.84 and a FIP of 4.50. And listen, the news of optioning Alex Faedo might have seemed strange, given you want to give the young arms some run at the major league level. But Faedo is coming off Tommy John surgery and does need to be put on an innings limit. So they're going to tap the brakes. They're going to slow down the pace on which they've been working him. I wouldn't be surprised if they ask him to only give them 4 innings in Game 2. So hopefully Garrett Hill in Game 1 doesn't tax the bullpen too much. But I will not be surprised if we only get about 5 innings from both starters in the doubleheader against the Guardians on Monday. Game 3 on Tuesday is gonna face Cal Quantrill, against to be determined for the Tigers. It's not gonna be Brisky because he won't be on 5 days rest. This would be the spot for Ronnie Garcia, but Ronnie Garcia was recently placed on the 15-day disabled list. So the Tigers pitching on Tuesday is going to be determined. Now, what you're most likely looking at is Garrett Hill coming up, making his debut on Monday. Then he will be optioned back to the minor leagues, and they will probably call somebody up to make that start on Tuesday. Quantrill is 4-4 this year, striking out about 5 batters per 9 innings, walking almost 3 batters per 9 innings. He has a 269 batting average on balls in play, a 3.72 ERA, which again shows that he's been a little bit lucky because his FIP is about 4.47. So there's definitely opportunity here in these first, 2 out of the first 3 games, because we don't know who's pitching for the Guardians in the nightcap of the doubleheader. There's an opportunity to get to these guys, but there was also an opportunity to get to the Royals, and they just didn't do that. So I don't even know how to analyze. All I can give you is the numbers and say this is what could happen, but don't be surprised if it doesn't, because that's just who the Tigers are. Game 4, the wrap-up game Wednesday afternoon, is going to face Shane Bieber going against Michael Pineda. Bieber on the season is 3-4 with about 9 strikeouts per 9 innings and walks about 2 batters per 9 innings. He does have a very elevated batting average on balls in play at 3.15, but he's got a great ERA at 3.16, and his FIP is even better at 2.83. Who's going to be facing Michael Pineda, who's 1-3 on the season, is only striking out about 5 batters per 9 innings. Sorry, the numbers get jumbled. Michael Pineda is striking out 5 batters per 9 innings. He's only walking about 1 batter per 9 innings. Has a batting average of 250 on balls in play. His ERA is 3.62, but he has been getting luckier than lucky with his FIP being over 5.31. So a split is what you're looking for here out of the Tigers. You can't expect them to win, especially with the way they played this weekend. Cannot expect them to win 3 out of these 4 games, or let alone sweep them. So a split we should be celebrating at this point, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Now, what we normally do with these previews is I give you what they do well and what they don't do so well, the Guardians, the opposing team. So here's what they're in the top half of baseball in walks per 9 innings. So they only walk about 3 batters in their pitching per 9 innings. So definitely got to put the ball in play. Definitely got to attack those first best pitches that you see, because the batting average on ball in play is a little bit elevated for their pitching staff. So we want to make sure that we put those balls in play. But they're a middle-of-the-road team statistically. They are second in the AL Central as far as games, but I think they're only 2 games behind the Minnesota Twins, and a few games ahead of the Chicago White Sox. But they've really been standing on their head and are a very surprising team this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out down the stretch for them. They have some good players. Jose Ramirez specifically, who is just the ultimate. He's taken the mantle from Nelson Cruz of the ultimate Tiger killer at this point, because he just hits like crazy. But another thing that they do well is that they create runs on the base paths. They're only about 3% below MLB average with a 97 weighted runs created plus. Below MLB average, about 3% in their ability to create runs. So when they get on the bases, you got to find a way to stop them from scoring, and they've done a pretty good job as a team doing that. The other thing that they have is they have Emmanuel Clase, who's their closer, has a 28% strike rate, walks about 4.5 per 9 innings, but he's got a 1.31 ERA and a 1.86 FIP. So do not be behind when you're facing Clase, because that guy, he can spin it for sure. One of the things they don't do so well, though, they are the worst in the league at hard hit rate, and they are 23rd in the league at weighted on base average, which accounts for offensive events and their ability to produce runs. Their 302 weighted on base average is considered poor, according to Fangraphs. However, they are better in that weighted on base average than the Tigers, because the Tigers are actually considered awful. So take that for what you will. I've already said, listen, you should celebrate a split at this point, especially coming off the way that they played. This team is just a complete roller coaster with the way that they play baseball right now. So a split would be a win in a lot of ways. So let's look forward to those games. 4 games in 3 days, with the Guardians in, and an opportunity to win, hopefully, a few games. Now, listen, the Tigers are playing a lot of games leading up to the All-Star break. They have, I think, 3 doubleheaders in the next 3 weeks. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of different lineups with a lot of different guys getting some time off.